and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Carl Smith. I'm the business owner and coach at Concept Fitness Consultancy. The intention of these podcasts is to last around about 20 minutes, and the intention of the day is to offer support to trainers right now, more than ever. I think there shouldn't be shortage with that. Today's guest is Michael, and I'm going to pause there, Mike, because I'm going to have to learn how to say your surname first before I introduce you.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I've rehearsed it a little bit, and I've just, how do you tell me how you say it, and I'll try and copy it.
So it's Chatziminas. Chatziminas.
Chatziminas. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for being here today, and thanks for dropping on. Michael has got some interesting stories, I think, to share with trainers, but more specifically, where what I tend to see as successful personal trainers tend to have started out in some kind of sales role and then progressed into personal training, where Michael has done that the other way around, where I think he's got a passion for sales from his personal training experience. So look, without further ado, I'm gonna hand you over to Michael to introduce himself, tell you a little bit about where he started and kind of what he's up to today. So Michael, over to you, sir.
Hello, and thank you, Carl, for having me on your podcast. It's honestly an honor to be on here. So my name is Michael Chatziminas, as you very well said before. I'm part Greek, part English. That's why my surname is so difficult to pronounce as well. So I've been in the PT industry for the last 6 years. I've had a year off. The last year I've been off. I've been into sales. It's been an incredible journey. A lot of emotions going through being a personal trainer. At the beginning, you expect something, but it turns out to be something very different at the end. But it's been amazing. It's a great job. It's a great job. And I know at the moment that a lot of people are struggling with it. So I think we have a lot of content here to share with everyone and trying to help out in the best way we can.
Perfect. Well, mate, look, tell us a little bit about how long had you been a personal trainer before you've taken on this next role?
So I was a personal trainer for about 5 years. So it started off when I was in Greece. I came out of the army. I was in Special Forces and Marines. So when I came out of that, I really fell in love with exercise and human biology and how we move and all the exercises. I found it fascinating how much I changed my body in an amount of a year. So when I came out of the army, a lot of people were approaching me to ask me, how did I do it? How did I make that big transformation in my body? Because I went from 60 kilograms to 78 kilograms. I was like pure muscle. I could run, I could do pull-ups, I could do press-ups, I could do everything. So a lot of people would approach me to learn how I did that. So I started teaching people without even knowing that that was a job. So I would take people to the park, make them carry like big rocks, squat, pull-ups, press-ups, body weight exercises, everything. And from that, a lot of people gave me the feedback that you actually are really good and you really enjoy it, which I did. And what I did, I thought I'm gonna take this very seriously now. So back then, when the crisis hit in Greece, I was looking to leave Greece and come to the UK. And I thought that if I got my qualification there, it would be much better. I'd get much more better education. So I came over to the UK. My English was not as good. I had to do a 6-month course so I could get my personal training diploma, which was extremely difficult to do anatomy and physiology and nutrition in a language that I wasn't speaking as much. I struggled with it, got through it, and then exercise for less. And my career just took off there.
Wow. So, do you remember who you did your course with?
Yes, it was. Oh, who was it with? Oh, I can't remember the name now. It's slipping my mind. It will come to me at some point. I will come back to that when it comes to me.
No worries at all. No worries at all. It's an interesting one. For I've asked this question to a couple of trainers recently, and their minds suddenly go blank. You know, it's it's so long ago that you did the course that it's not something that maybe you've thought about since. But no worries at all. If it comes back to you, just give us a shout. But okay, so you that sounds like an interesting tale. So when you said the crisis in Greece, just talk to us a little bit about that. So just so that people are aware that we're not talking about COVID at this stage. This is way before.
No, that was a financial crisis that hit. So a lot of people lost their jobs. There was a lot of poverty in Greece, and there was a lot of uncertainty in Greece. And I went through it. A lot of my friends went through it. My family went through it. So my mother decided then to come over to the UK because she's English. She has a passport and she's a qualified nurse. So she came, she got a job. And after 2 years, I followed as well because I wanted to do something better for myself. Because I knew in Greece there was no future for me, at least no bright future as there is here. So
Okay.
yeah, that was the crisis that hit back then. It was a financial one, not COVID.
Yeah, got you. Okay, so you came across to England, and how soon before? How soon was it that you got your first PT job? Was it relatively easy to find, or did you search for months until you found the right facility? How did that work for you?
So I went on Google. I started seeing all the jobs that were available. I did put in my name to a few. I went to a few, what's it called? So a few interviews. Yeah, I went to one interview. I failed it on the second interview where I went. They didn't take me because I wasn't experienced enough. And then I went to Exercise for Less. I left my CV there. They gave me a call and they were like, "We like your CV. Can you come in for an interview?" I went for the interview. I remember the manager then was Greg. I can't remember his surname, but it was Greg. So I went to Wigan Exercise for Less, had the interview, and from then, personal trainer.
Brilliant. So how long were you at Exercise for Less for as a personal trainer?
So I stayed for 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. It was 4 years ongoing, and yeah, it was amazing. I learned so much from that place and from the people that I was with at the time.
Good work. So we'll come to that in a second. So from 4 years at Exercise for Less, you then moved to JD Gyms.
Yes. So I went to JD Gyms. I wanted something different. I felt like in Exercise for Less, I'd hit a plateau. I felt like I wasn't expanding anymore. I was putting in a lot of hours, a lot of work. And I felt like there wasn't room for me to grow, that I needed something new, something different. So I experimented and I went to another gym. I went to JD Gyms. And actually, I think at the time it was the regional manager that approached me and wanted to interview me. So we had an interview and he said, "We'd be glad to have you in the gym." So I went and I tried it out. Yeah, good gym, very, very different to Exercise for Less. Yeah, in a lot of ways. But yeah, we'll get to that as well.
Good. Okay, well, let's go back in time and to your time at Exercise for Less then. So I know from my personal sort of from me meeting you there that you were very busy. You always had that sort of that positive mindset that was infectious, and I think that's definitely got to be one of the traits that really works for you. And what I do remember from I used to look at a lot of the social media content that was coming out of your club, and I remember seeing in the transformation camps that you used to deliver. I remember seeing all the I think you were one of the only trainers that used to do this, but you used to get them into the studio and they'd all be sat on steps while you effectively delivered a seminar, or whether that was an introduction to the next 8 weeks of the journey, or whether that was a nutrition based thing. They were glued to whatever you were telling them. So that said to me, you must have been extremely knowledgeable, which is why they bought into you. But what I also saw from you doing that was that your numbers grew and grew and grew up until a point that and you, I'm sure, confirm this, that you were you'd filled all the slots for at least one or two of the camps that you were delivering. So that very few trainers managed to do that. So what do you put that down to?
Wow, that's a good question. So what I would put that down to was mainly invest in the people, care about the people, and give value to them. Give them 100% value and make people connect. Because when people come to these kinds of gatherings, right, they come in their minds and they have one thing. I want to lose weight. I want to gain muscle, or I want to feel better with myself, etc. The list is endless. So they come with that intention, but they don't think about, I'm going to meet new people. My life is going to change towards the best. I'm going to make new friends who are not just only going to be my friends. They're going to motivate me when things get difficult. I'm going to have more support because I've got people doing it with me the same time, so I can get ideas from them. So I think community is a very big thing.
100%. I think what would be interesting today on today's podcast maybe is to sort of dig into a little bit about how, let's say I'm a brand new PT now. You don't have to be a brand new PT. Let's say you're a PT who's now decided they want to run their own boot camp, and they want to run their own challenge somehow. And what are the steps that you need to take to make that successful, and what do you need to deliver to the clients effectively to keep them coming back for more. So we'll come back to that, I think, in a second. But let's just get to an understanding of how busy you got and what did that really look like. So how many sessions a week were you delivering at your peak?
My peak, I was doing about 60 hours a week. Wow. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was good from a financial point of view, right? Because that's what I had in my head always. I was very driven to make money. But I found out the hard way that that's not everything. And I don't think it's healthy to work so many hours. But yeah, in my peak time, in my prime time, I was doing about 60 hours on average a week. I was working seven days a week, and I would give any time in the day that I could be there, I'd give it to a client.
Wow. So I think we all fall into that trap. We don't all get to 60 hours, don't get me wrong, but we all, I think, as PTs fall into that trap where we either can't say no, or we don't feel like we should be saying no because we're just getting started. So you're going to pick up a client at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you'll ultimately pretend, if you stay there all day, you may end up picking clients up later on at night, which means in your first sort of few months, maybe longer, you may have a bunch of clients in the AM session, a bunch of clients in the PM, not too much going on in the middle. But what it means is that you have a really long day, and then potentially start to fill things up. But that's all well and good. But 60 hours a week, is that manageable for the duration? Did you eventually get to a point where you thought, I need to restructure things, I need to look at my time management and get that down to a manageable sort of hourly hours per week? Or did you always go hard at sort of 60?
That's a really good question, Carl. So what I think, it all starts with your mindset. So why are you doing this? What is the motives behind all this? So mine was money, for example. I would grab any opportunity and any kind of client to build up the sales and build up financially, be in the top league. I was very competitive, especially with that league board whenever I saw that. So yeah, that was my mindset. So when I was doing it, I wasn't managing well either my time or my priorities or the people I trained. I would train anyone. I think that is a massive mistake. So that's why I think the most important thing is to start with why. Why are you doing this? Why are you going into this game? Why are you going into PTing or being a coach or doing any sort of stuff in your life, know why you're doing this, because that will align you with who you want to work with, when you want to work with them, and what kind of results you want to give to people, and to which people is that going to be with. So yeah, I think time management and who you're going to work with is very important as well. So yeah, it is achievable to do 60 hours. It is achievable, but you have to be a pro athlete. What I mean by a pro athlete, an athlete, to train 2 or 3 times a day, they have to have a specific lifestyle. They have to eat very well. They have to sleep very well. They have to have minimum stress. And they have a lot of people behind them helping them with all of this.
Mm.
When you're going as a self-employed PT on your own, and you're just discovering things as you go along, and you're doing 60 hours per week, and let's say you're not getting good sleep, or you don't have the time to get good nutrition, or you don't have the energy to train, because 60 hours is a lot. You don't have energy to train. What happens then? You are the product. You are the service. If you don't show up to be your best self, people won't buy into you. It's manageable when you can do all the other things first. So first you have to take care of the product, the service, which is you, and then take care of the people that you take on. That's what I would say.
It's good advice, and it's only in hindsight that you start to kind of understand these things. So if you were giving advice to a brand new trainer right now, what would those steps look like to prevent them from falling into a spiral potentially, where you are delivering 60 hours, and at 60 hours you suddenly stop focusing? Because one of the things I remember as well from when I was PTing is that I almost got into PTing because I enjoyed training myself, and suddenly when you start to get really busy, the first thing that drops away is your own training. And if your own training drops away, then almost in connection with that, so does the nutrition, and then suddenly so does your confidence levels, and the way you the way you feel every day. So and that then translates into your sessions with your clients, and then the negative sort of spiral continues. So how would you advise a trainer now to not fall into that trap, so to speak?
What I would advise is, my best advice would be, start with why. Before you start anything, sit down and ask yourself, why am I doing this? When we ask ourselves why, right, we always have desires. We go after things. But the things we have to know is the motive behind the desire. So why do I want to do this? Ask yourself a lot of times why. Get down to the core desire. Why are you in? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to fulfill within yourself? So the first thing is, start with why. Then figure out how you're going to do it. Think of the structure. Come up with the business plan. See where you want to be in a few years. What are your goals? Which people do you have to speak to? Which people can help you develop or be better, or guide you or mentor you? And then it's what. What am I going to do? What is my service? So I would say, start with why, find the motives, find the purpose that you want to be as a person, because that will keep you aligned and it will help you push away all the distractions. Big thing, massive. So when I was a PT, I would go in and I would PT anyone. Big mistake. Big mistake. I mean, it's good to have the skill to work with everyone, but it's different to take on everyone. It's a very big distinction. So when I take on anyone, I might not, I might not connect with my client. So if I'm not connecting with the clients that I'm working with, for example, I was always very good at weight loss. So I would help people not only with nutrition, but with the mental side of it as well. The patterns, the habits. Why are you doing this? Is it an emotional factor? Is it someone else that's causing it? And all that kind of thing. But I would take on bodybuilders, for example, people who wanted to build up muscle. I didn't like it. I honestly didn't enjoy the training, and you can see it. So when I lost clients, it would affect me mentally.
Mhm.
So that is just opinions of people telling you who to work with and what to do. Opinions are good, but you have to know where you are going and stay in that straight line. Be aware of the opinions, and if it fits in your guidelines, if it fits with your goals, take it on. If it doesn't, just let it go.
Do you know that is quite interesting advice, to be fair. Certainly, you know, I've written down that the why is important, and a business plan is really important. Then, you know, I call it product, you call it what, which is the same thing. You know, focus on your product. What you mentioned there was that, you know, you would train anybody, and I was exactly the same as a PT. But and I learned as I went. You know, I remember a guy called Graham, who asked me to do a marathon running program. I'd never run a marathon in my life. But was I going to give him away to another trainer? Whilst my job was to make money. So I went out and, you know, and I learned how to put together a marathon running program, to which he was really happy with, to be fair. But, you know, you're right, it wasn't my passion. But at that time, you I suppose you're guided by the why. For me, I suppose that one was to make money, to make it work. I had to make it work. Now, I get what you're saying as well, that if you find your niche, so to speak, and focusing on that, you're going to deliver a better service. But yeah, I think that's the balance that a lot of trainers must face, certainly when they're getting started, because your why typically is twofold. Your why is I need to make money because it's a business, but at the same time, I want to enjoy what I do. I want to be passionate. So very, very interesting advice. Okay, so obviously you built some great numbers in your one-to-one and your call them transformation camps. I'm interested to know your process around how you built those numbers. So your lead generation activity, you know, so from any trainer's perspective now, that's more arguably the toughest thing is generating interest or generating the leads. I think once they're sat down in front of us, we're all pretty much okay at delivering a great PT session. But how do we get those people in the first place? So what was your most successful lead generation activity?
I would say one of them was classes, exposure, right? You could be a great trainer, you could know everything, but if no one knows you, you're the only one that knows this stuff. People have to get to know you. So exposure is very important. So how do you get exposure? Mine was from classes, and then it was from people doing walk-ins. They would come in, I would show them the gym, and as I'm showing them the gym, I would ask questions. Why are you here? What do you want to achieve? I get to know this person. And then I would sit down with them and I would tell them, like, look, next time you come in, I can give you a 30-minute session, and then I can sit with you 30 minutes to help you build some goals and help you build a plan, which that was obviously my sales pitch in that 30 minutes. But through that sales pitch, I would give them value. You always have to give value to the people. They have to see something in you to come and work with you. If you're not giving anything away, they don't know what service they're going to get. So yeah, I would say definitely is be in front of people at any cost. Doesn't matter if it's good exposure or bad exposure, they know who you are. But make sure it's good exposure most of the times, right? So they have to know who you are, first of all. And then they have to know what you're all about. They have to know your style. They have to know what you know as a personal trainer, if you've got the knowledge to take them where they want to go. And then show off your transformations and show off what you've done. That is the most powerful marketing. And then it's all word to mouth as well, I believe.
What if you don't have, I mean, if you think when you're brand new to this and you don't have those before and after pictures, you don't have that history, you're super passionate, you're absolutely qualified, but you don't have that evidence to support how you may deliver a great PT session or a great process, I suppose. What would you advise to trainers nowadays to sort of overcome those things when you get started?
Very good question. So what I would say is train anyone at the beginning. At the beginning, go for it. Whoever you can get your hands on, that is family, friends, anyone, and do it for free. Don't worry about money at the beginning. I know we have to pay our bills and we have to make a living out of it, but at the beginning, show who you are, show what you're made of. You need some case studies. You need to show and test your theories. Does my theory work? What I've put down in paper, does it actually work with people? Is my nutrition guidance good? So you need to test it out. At the beginning, it's all about testing. So go and do all your mistakes at the beginning. Go and do mistakes. That's what I would say. Go and do your mistakes, because from your mistakes, you'll learn who you are and which other people you want to work with and what things actually work for you specifically.
Good advice. And look, first, let me thank you now for answering a bunch of questions that I haven't prepared you for. I just got carried away with a conversation and asked you a load of stuff that I'm not prepared you for. But it's interesting to me to understand, you know, certainly from your perspective, how you did that. So, what about to dig into a little the transformation camp stuff? You know, again, a lot of trainers struggled in terms of building numbers. Now, one-to-one and transformation camps or boot camps, or you know, whatever terminology you want to assign for those two different products, one-to-one arguably may be easier to build initially because you need less volume of people to build a successful business, I suppose. Arguably, to build a boot camp, you need more people. You could argue it's easier to close people on a boot camp because it's a cheaper price point. And one-to-one is more expensive, so it may be harder to close the one-to-one clients. But to build a boot camp up to 40 people, which is what you did, that's not easy. So what steps would you advise people to take to get to that kind of number? Because you could argue that a lot of trainers maybe think 40 is too many to be delivering in a group scenario, and maybe feel more confident or comfortable at maybe 20. But you could also make the argument that actually delivering a boot camp to 40 people means you make twice as much money. So how did you go about it?
So how we did this is that we started off with the camps, and it was something that no one knew what to do, right? It was something completely new. I remember when we were doing the training, and it was something completely new, but it was a great idea. And it was, I was surprised how no one had ever thought about that. And so the first one we started, it was much less people, right? Mm-hmm. Not everyone's going to buy into a new idea straight away. So always give a product a time, right? Even if it's your one-to-one business or if it's group camps or whatever it is, give it time. You need some people to come and test it, see the results, see if they like it, and then those people are going to go and speak to another so many people. And that's organic marketing. And it's the best marketing on the planet, word to mouth. So yeah, that's what I would say. We didn't start off with big numbers, but we did build it up. So for example, at the beginning, I pushed some of my clients. So I had a lot of clients and I pushed my one-to-ones into the transformation camp so we could make it a thing. We need to advertise this. I can have more people and make a bigger volume of money in less time, less of my time, because it's all a time game. You only have so many hours in your day to give out. So push some of your clients in, and then that gave me the time to go and get new clients and then push them in as well. And then keep the camps full, and then the camps feed back in again to one-to-ones. They will never leave you. It's a cycle. They go from one-to-ones back into the transformation camps, into the one-to-ones, into the transformation camps. And then it's the service that you give. Make sure that the service is something different. It's something unique. It's something that only you can do as a personality. They invest in people. They don't invest in a deadlift. They don't invest in a squat. they invest in the trainer. So make sure that when you deliver something, it has a piece of you in it. Definitely.
I think you make a really good point there, that potentially when you're starting these things and you give yourself a goal, and that goal might have been 40, it might have been 20, but whatever those numbers are, you're a country mile away when you get started, and you shouldn't expect to start at 20 or 40. And you may end up starting with 2. However, how many of us, when you get just 2 people turning up, deliver a lackluster service because there's only 2 people, and it almost demotivates you because only 2 people turned up. If, however, you deliver an amazing service to those 2 people, they are very much more likely to walk away and get another 2 people for you, and suddenly you've got 4, and suddenly you've got 8, etc., and it grows and grows. But if you don't put the service in at the front end, you'll never get the growth that you're looking for. Is that kind of what you're
Exactly. Have a goal, but enjoy the process as well. That is the main thing. Always enjoy the process. Don't think about, I want to have 40 people in my camps, but it's not going to be 40 people from the first get-go. You're going to have to build it, as you very well said, Carl, 2 by 2, 1 by 1, but you will get there. Enjoy the process, and that will multiply much faster for you. Because if you go in and you're miserable and you're like, they're not worth my time, 2 people, that's going to fire back on you. It's going to fire back on anyone, because we are the service, and our behavior and our energy comes out with what we believe. So it's very important, yes, to give your 100%, no matter how many people it is, and they will go and talk to someone else. And then those people will talk to someone else, and it builds and it builds, and suddenly you don't even know how you've got so many people.
Brilliant. What do you think is the single piece of best advice that you've ever been given by anyone?
Wow, that is a very good question. I'm going to say from my manager, Danny Shepard, be patient. Be patient. It's so simple, but it's so difficult to do. Stop running around like a headless chicken. Be patient. You always are where you have to be. That is something that I use as a mantra that I keep repeating in my head all the time. I'm one of those people that if I want to do something, let's go 100%. Let's run 1,000 miles per hour. No, give it time. Take a deep breath. Think about it. Analyze things. When something goes wrong, don't go crazy. Take a step back. Take a deep breath. Be patient. It's so simple, but it's so hard to do. Be patient. And I carry that with me everywhere. Yeah, be patient, I would say.
That is great advice. What about online PT? Did you have any experience with that? Was it really not particularly relevant when you were training?
So when I was doing my PTing, I could see that something was building on the side, and that was online training. So back then, 3-4 years ago, it wasn't as big, but you could see the industry was growing and growing and growing. And look at it now. Look at how many people have took it to online. The online industry is worth billions now, billions. And that is courses, nutrition, exercise, anything, business consultancy. Everyone is going online. So it is the future. Online is the future. So me and my friend did try to build an online business. It's very, very different. So you do need to do your homework before you go down that route, because it's a completely different industry. It's not so much face-to-face interaction. It's more about marketing. It's more about your number tracking. It's more about your sales. And it's more about how good are you at writing? How good are you at psychology to sell yourself through a script and not through face-to-face interaction now. So it's a very different world, which I think will keep growing and is the future. Definitely is the future. And it's something that if you want to get into, make sure you study very, very well. Go into it, learn from your mistakes, but it's a different industry and it's a different way of giving away your product. You have to make sure that, because you don't have that one-to-one interaction, you're not there to coach, you're not there to interact with them or guide them through a deadlift. You have to find a different way. For example, show them through the videos, instruct through a video. So it needs a lot of time in front of a camera, giving your content away, what you have in your head, and then demonstrating that as well. And also putting it in a nice package so people can buy it. And then it's easy for people, because it's not what we say, it's what people understand.
It's a very, you're right, it's a very different product. So it could be that, you know, that it's not for certain trainers because it's not what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about stood next to somebody face to face and having that face to face engagement, then what you're, I have a different sort of terminology for online PT. There is online PT, which is the traditional online PT that you refer to. But what would you call, you know, what we've had to do over this last year is deliver our one-to-one and our face-to-face sessions via Zoom. Now, that isn't traditional online PT, but it's almost a different service that's come up because of COVID, which may, it almost bridges the gap between the two, I suppose, where online PT typically is a program that's administered, lots of sort of automation, lots of emails, like you say, it's very much marketing focused. You've got your one-to-one live, then face-to-face sessions that we're all familiar with, and then in the middle there's this Zoom delivery, which maybe isn't as tech heavy as the traditional online stuff, and you don't need to be a marketeer to get that off the ground. It's literally being able to adapt your business to the current environment, I suppose.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. So what I was talking about previously about the online, that's how to build an online business, I think is a better term. Yeah. Not what has happened now. People have got very creative really fast. So they had to adapt to the new circumstances, which I think is amazing. Yeah. Sometimes look at what pushing you over the edge does. It makes you much more creative. And I think it's amazing what all the PTs have done, and all the podcasts that I've heard previously from you, Carl, all the people, the PTs, all the ideas they've come up with, they're absolutely fantastic. So this new adaptability that came forward, they had to act. So I think it worked much more in their favor, and it opened up their eyes to see that their clients are happy just to do a simple workout, just to put a camera on and start working out with whatever you can find in your house, right? And people are okay with it. It's less money for them, less effort going to the gym, spending an hour coming and going, showering and all of that. You're in the comfort of your home. So I think all this fast change could have actually helped out the PTs to realize I could do this on my own. Because I can see a lot of PTs now, after COVID, are realizing how much power they actually have and how much do they actually need gyms nowadays. Who actually needs who right now? Because I can see a lot of personal trainers just went off and started buying units or just doing it online, and it makes them believe much more in themselves. So I think it's amazing what they've all done. And I just want to say congratulations to all of them. Hats off to them.
Yeah, no, likewise. I think it goes back to that community, or the word community that you referred to at the beginning of today's session. Your average PT client, although they're coming to you for the routine, they're coming to you for their own particular goals, be it weight loss, strength gain, etc., etc. Eventually, over time, it's about that sense of community. And that in lockdown is what people have all missed, you know. So getting together with your trainer on a Zoom call once or twice a week becomes that routine where you're speaking to somebody else outside of your family bubble, I suppose, right now. So, you know, it maybe has got us thinking that there are other benefits to personal training than just the training.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a personal trainer is not just a trainer. Let's not kid ourselves. Or you're a coach or a personal trainer, whatever, how you like the terminology to be. You build a very strong bond with these people, because a transformation doesn't take a month. It doesn't take 2 weeks. It takes months to get a good result. It takes a minimum of 3 months. Throughout this 3 months, you're not just counting down the squats and the reps. You're not just giving out the nutrition advice. You're learning who is that person, and that person is learning who you are. And that's when you get the best results. When there's a built trust between the coach and the coachee, the trainer and the one that's being trained. That's when you get the best results. So yeah, community is a very big thing. That's why I think getting to work with your trainer online when all this is going on, and have that 1 hour to see the other people from the gym and go into a class and ask, how are you doing with all this? And then getting all those good hormones from the workout as well helps massively people out. So yeah, again, good job to everyone for helping out in these difficult times. And I think that is a great way to help out people, get their minds off the negativity of what's going on at the moment, get them to bond through camera, through however you can, and then give them that good experience, that good result that makes them feel good about themselves. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So, Michael, I'm going to finish on one final question. I think that you've been, look, firstly, thank you for popping on today. It was really, really appreciated. And I think some of the things you've said are hopefully people are going to find really useful. But look, if I had to finish on one question, I think the question would be, if there was one final piece of advice that you'd want to give out to the personal training community right now, what would that be?
To the PT community. So I think starting with why is very big, no matter where you are in your journey, because I figured out my why when I was quote unquote more experienced, when I had all the people, when I was making very good money. That's when I found out my why. When I was putting in so many hours, I wasn't taking good care of myself, and that unfortunately broke me. And I had to take a step back and self-reflect and see what's going on here, what's going wrong. And I was the problem. It wasn't the people, it wasn't the industry, it wasn't the economy, it was me. I hadn't started with why. I didn't know why I was in the game. I didn't know why I was doing all of this. So taking that step back and self-reflecting, I managed to go back into doing what I loved, doing it with a much better energy, making better money with less time, and working with the people I wanted to work with. I didn't have to go outside and start headhunting people. Those people would come to me because I knew what message I was broadcasting out. So when you have a clear message in your head of what you're doing, a clear vision of what you want to offer people, that speaks volumes. And then the people you work with go and speak to other people who you are. You stand for something as a business, as a trainer, as a coach. Make sure that what you stand for is clear, because then people will do the job for you. You don't have to go out there and graft and graft and graft. You graft when you're with the person. You give 100% attention, listen, coach, and give good results, and be there for them and be real. I would say be real as well. That is so important. Don't fake it. One of my best quotes is, you can't be what was it? I've got it here. You can't be anything you want, but you can be everything you are. So make sure that you're working on what you are, not on what you think you are. That's what I would say.
Okay. I said it was going to be the final question. Just tell us a little bit about. I think what one of the things that I think is that you can certainly share today, that would be really interesting for people to understand, is that you know, I started as a PT myself and progressed from PT through to the management side of things. That's what I wanted to do. You've now progressed yourself into a performance coach role, which is effectively
Yes.
a sales performance coach. Just talk to the guys a little bit about, you know, how and why you decided to do that.
So as I was working with people, I found an attraction more towards their inner world and what's going on. So for example, let me make this a bit more simple. So when I was coaching people, right, and not all the people would get results. So in the gym, everyone was fantastic, thumbs up, yeah, I'm doing everything great. But once you go outside, you lose that. They would lose everything they just forget, like they didn't care. So I started becoming very interesting in why people do what they do. Even though you might give them the best remedy of nutrition, the best exercise that works for their body, then they go out and they just forget everything. They don't stay on track. So that really, I started asking myself questions. How can I solve this problem? And I started seeing that people needed coaching, not advice giving. There's a very big distinction there. So giving advice is your idea being transmitted to someone else. It's not their idea. So they're much less likely to stay motivated to do it. But coach a person. What do I mean by coaching? Asking powerful questions that leads their mind to the result that you want as a coach. It's not manipulation. It's on their motives, on their beliefs, on their values, but they realize it. They experience it from inside with powerful questions. So instead of telling them what to do, ask them powerful questions so they realize what they have to do. So that fascinated me. And I just went into a business environment. I went into sales because I knew I had a lack of business knowledge. And I'd never been into that world where I could see a big business work. So I chose this business very specifically because I knew the people that worked in there. And I was after this role, which wasn't available back then, but I knew that I could prove myself to fit into that role. And I knew that there was this person that I saw as a mentor who had a lot of experience as an executive coach, as a lifestyle coach. He's amazing. He's got loads of years of experience. He's very well paid as well. So that speaks volumes about him. So I wanted to go and learn from that person. So even though I wasn't making the same money, I dropped below half of what I was making, right? And I went to learn the skill. So I jumped in there so I can learn a skill. And I remember this quote: rich people don't work for money. They work for the skills. They work for knowledge. So that's why they all go and work for free, so they can learn something in that process. So that's what I thought. Take a step back, take a time out from that. Let me go and get the skills I need. And then I'll come back stronger and better. So yeah, that's why I chose to do that. And it was more understanding the human psychology and the human behavior of why we do what we do. And it led me down that path. And now this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be helping people unleash their potential. Potential is always there, but it's hard to come out when we have this critic, this Woody Allen, as someone said, that Woody Allen in our head, and he's always judging every movement that we make. Everything that we do is being judged by ourselves. Something that's called the ego is there, to protect you and judge the environment to make sure it's safe for you. But it doesn't stop there. It judges your every move as well. And that could be either very positive, it could judge you in a positive way, or it could judge you in a very destructive way. If it's a destructive way, negative emotions come out. When negative emotions emerge, potential goes down. You're not unleashing your potential. You're just getting stuck into your head and you don't know what to do. Fear is taking over the body. But when you distract the mind, or you show the mind that it could do much more, then that potential starts rising, it starts coming out. And then you can perform much, much better. That's what they found in sports psychology. And there's a very good book as well I would highly recommend for coaches. It's The Inner Game of Tennis. I know it talks about tennis, but it talks about how the ego gets in the way of performance, and how person A and person B are in one body. So for example, when we play football, or when we do rugby, or when we play tennis or boxing, right? Boxing. I love boxing. That's what I used to do. So I'm going to use boxing as a terminology. So we have an outside opponent that we're going to fight, right? Once we get in the ring. But they saw that you don't stop there. It's not just the external opponent you're fighting. You have an internal opponent. So for example, I could get in the ring and I could be thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get hit. He's going to knock me out. That is the internal opponent. If you get the internal opponent out of the way, the body knows how to react. You've trained so much. Also, when the internal opponent gets out of the way, your muscles relax. You're more loose. You're more fluid. You get in more flow state. So that's what I will be doing with people. I help them unleash their potential. I'm kind of like a behavioral and performance coach at the same time. So yeah, that's it.
Like it. Look, Michael, good luck with that. And look, thank you very much again for popping on. Really appreciated, mate. And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Carl. Thank you. Thank you to everyone, and good luck with what's going on as well. Take care.